Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Bates, and I'm going over 4.2, the periodic table lab activity. Now, the MSC stands for middle school chemistry. So, this lab is actually found on the middle school chemistry website. We incorporated it into the A plus eighth grade science curriculum. There's actually a couple labs for middle school chemistry. If you've never been to middle school chemistry, I highly suggest you go there. They got some really good labs and stuff. Which again, we do use a couple in the A plus curriculum. But I'm actually going to go over the lab itself, and I'm also going to talk about your assignment that you have to do for the training for the year one physical science training. Now, if you go to this MSC 4.2, the periodic table, I believe it's called 4.2, the periodic table, in it's in Unit 2, which is atomic structure and periodic table. It is an extremely awesome lab. It has so many examples that you can use for a variety of assignments. For this lab in particular, not only did I do the lab successfully in my classroom in a really fun way, the kids enjoyed it, but I was able to grab those examples and make assignments based off of them. And you're about to see you're about to see that. So before I actually go over what you need to do, I do want to show you the lab. So there's going to be 3 documents in the Unit 2 folder. You got the periodic table lesson 4.2 element cards. And as you can see, it is 20 pages. If you do this lab in your classroom, it is an extremely paper heavy lab. You would only need to print one set of this. You could print like 2 per page or something, and I've done that in the past to save some paper. But it's is a very interesting lab. Now, before I continue, I'll go to this part next. So then you got the student sheet, the activity sheet, where the students would actually fill out, and it just has more information for the students, which is not really for them to fill out. It's more or less they use. Like, so here's a periodic table and a little cheat sheet for them if they need it. And then lastly, you have the teacher notes, which is right here. Now, this thing has everything you would need to know about this lab if you're trying to write lesson plans or anything like that, key concepts, objectives, summaries. And it also uses the 5E lesson plan. And this is actually a very good template of how you could do it in your own classroom. And I highly suggest you either go to middle school chemistry and look at the lab itself, or you can go to the Unit 2 folder and try and find these documents and look through them. There's several documents. There's actually more than the 3 documents, I believe, but these are just the main 3. Because, but anyway, it talks about how you would introduce the periodic table, and then keep on going down. And it gives you links. Now, sometimes these middle school chemistry links they sometimes will not work anymore because they've updated them or something. So you do have to watch out for that sometimes. I noticed with the last, but it provides all the notes that you would need to do this lab, to explore. Now, this is where this activity, and I do have a discussion question that I would like for you to answer after you do the Google form. So the MSC 4.2 periodic table Google form, this is for grade. It will grade it, and I'm about to go over it. But before that, I do want you to think about one thing while you're working on this. So, and this goes to my discussion question at the very end in Canvas. So this is an extremely paper heavy lab. So you would, this, like the top right of each page has the element card. And I've seen it to where you tape this card on the walls, or you put them on a desk, and the students have to go by and they have to put what example goes with it. And as you can see, these examples are really good examples. And I've actually made several assignments just based off this lab in general. Right here, this one's a very simple one. The atom you're looking for has 1 electron. Well, that's not that bad. But when you got stuff like this right here, this atom you're looking for is directly above the atom with this energy level. So they actually have to be able, the students have to be able to recognize the Bohr model. They need to be able to recognize energy levels. They need to be able to know how the periodic table is organized. Or this is a great lab to demonstrate that. So just think about, and then over here, 2 fewer electrons in lithium. Like I said, it kind of makes them think. It's a really good lab. Now, just to go to an overview, like I said, this is just snipped from the thing, but some Marzano strategies that this lab can do: informal assessments, chunking content, processing content, recording and representing content, using physical movement. There are so many different Marzano strategies that can be used here in a very, very easy way. But like I said, this lab, it's almost, you can't really decide it one way to do this lab just because this is before COVID-19. You don't know how big class sizes are. You don't know how big the classrooms are. If a teacher had access to a hallway or a gym or something else, you could actually spread out more. Or you maybe not wanted to have a lot of movement. You may wanted to have some type of station system. I'm not sure. It is truly depending on that teacher. But I do want you to think while you're doing my activity, the Google form, is how would you do this lab in your classroom? Now, I actually want you to actually try to plan to try to do this lab like for COVID-19. Like we're going to have some type of distance or something like that. And now I know we all don't know exactly what the parameters are, but how would you do this lab? And you may want to think for a digital way to do this lab, or use the examples in a different way. And I do want you to think about how would you do this lab in your own classroom for the 2020-21 year. But anyway, so let's get to the activity. Now, again, for this activity, you need to, you have 2 things to do. You have to do this Google form, and there will be a discussion post. And the discussion post will have more specifics. I just want your mind to be working right now. So make sure to put your email right here, just for grading purposes, just to make sure that we are giving you the correct grade. Please make sure you fill that in. Same names that you would use for the A+ training. And the next, and again, actually, the video would be located right here, so you would actually already do that, I hope. But anyway, so if you click next, right here, there's 16 questions total. This section has 1 through 11. Now, I did provide you a periodic table. This is the same periodic table that is in the lab itself, and I try to do as best pictures I can, but as you can see, it's actually kind of hard to see the atomic masses here. And I wanted actually a brighter one, but I wanted to use the one that was in the lab. So if you having trouble seeing this, you can obviously magnify it, Control-Shift+ and see it a little bit better, or you could just pull up your own periodic table, whatever you would like. And you pretty much, I want to test and just to try to think from a student perspective when they see these cards, of course, get these correct. I hope that you do get all these correct. But I want you to think from a student perspective, like what do they have to know to actually answer these questions? So this is really simple. I'm going to let y'all do that. It's really simple. You do have to answer one of these, one for each row. But as you can see, here's a card. The item you're looking for has 0 neutrons in the nucleus. And I did leave an order for you. It's 1 through 20. And you would pick the correct answer. And you would go to the next slide. And again, same right here. The item you're looking for has this energy level model. And I'm just picking answers. These are not the correct answers. So I can go to the next section. You do all the answers. I made it to where it's required. So if you miss a question, you'll have to go back and answer it. But again, these examples, think about when you're doing this, what prior knowledge do your students have to know to be able to answer this? Right here, the atom you're looking for is directly above this atom right here. Like they would have to know a great deal of information right here. They would have to know, first off, what these dots mean, total electrons. They might could get away with just knowing that this is total amount of electrons. They might could get that with atomic number and atomic mass and and protons, stuff like that. But knowing energy levels would be really big help here, and stuff like that. You saw this question earlier. Then once you get to the next section, I have to answer this question. See, this is exactly what it does if you don't answer the questions. Then when you get the next section, you actually have to identify which card or cards identify nitrogen. You have 8 answer choices here. And again, it could be one choice, it could be 2, it could be 7, it could be 3, just depends, whatever, but how I have it set up. But and I also, and you may have noticed this, I've also set it to where it will actually shuffle every time on these. Just these 3 questions, the answer choices will shuffle. So this is also a good way to think about how you would do this lab in your own classroom. And also, I know there's several people that use Google Forms, but there's a lot of different cool things you can do with Google Forms. And this was actually not too difficult to set up. It did take a little time, but just think about that. And again, think about when your students, because they're not just going to see one card at a time, like for this activity, they may see multiple cards at once, just like this. And it might where you do in the lab where you actually do it this way. We say, okay, this is supposed to be nitrogen. There's some cards here that are in the wrong place. Which cards are in the wrong place? So really think about that. And again, after you complete this, a message will pop up and it will tell you to remind you to do the post-lab discussion in Canvas. And it's going to have a very interesting question. Just think about how do you do this? Do this lab in your own classroom? Because I know some people do not have technology. Some people do have technology. So, and think about there's so many different pages and stuff. You don't actually have to use all 20 of these examples, 20 pages, but really think about that. I want a really good discussion on that because actually hearing in the discussions of how different teachers do this stuff is actually, you learn a great deal from other teachers. And that's why I really enjoy this training as well and enjoy this lab as well, because I don't think I've actually done this lab the same way. I've actually changed it I know last year I did change it up mid-year or mid-day. I did the same for a couple of periods and I changed it up just to see how it would, and I enjoyed every one of them. So just keep that in mind. And so hopefully everybody will do just fine on this Google form, but I did put some feedback, especially on the first 11 if you are missing them. But just try to take your time on it and you should be fine.